The space station floated quietly above a giant orange planet, its rings spinning. Like slow-moving rivers of dust and stone, this station named Hellion was a peaceful place for science, research, and learning. Different beings from different planets came here to study the stars and share knowledge. One of the newest guests was a human named Tommel. He had arrived just 3 days ago from a transport ship. Tall, with short dark hair and a kind face, Tommel was sent to fix and upgrade the station's power systems. He was calm, quiet, and always had tools hanging from his belt. On the other side of the station lived Nala, a young alien researcher from the planet Alluri. She was curious, bright, and full of energy. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes large and silver like the moon. She had always been interested in humans, but until now, she had only read about them in data files and old videos. When Nella heard that a real human had arrived, she became excited. She ran through the long halls of the station, holding her scanner, eager to meet him. She found Tommel working near the oxygen filters. "Are you the new human?" she asked, tilting her head. Her voice had a musical tone. Tommel looked up and smiled. "Yeah, that's me. Name's Tommel. I am Nuh," she said, stepping closer. "I have read about humans but never seen one. Your bones are inside, right?" Tommel laughed. "Yes, definitely inside. Where else would they be? In my species, our skeletons are half outside," she said, proudly tapping the smooth plates on her arms for protection and decoration. "Interesting," Tommel said. "Well, humans keep everything inside: bones, heart, thoughts, everything." Nilla circled him, scanning with her small silver device. "You are soft. Your voice is not loud, but something is strange." Tommel raised an eyebrow. "Strange?" "Yes," she said, frowning at her scanner. "There is something inside you, something that is not you." Tommel laughed again, a bit confused. "Like what? Food?" "No, it is not food. It is humming." She nodded seriously. "Like a machine, a very quiet machine. I can hear it or feel it. It is hard to explain." Tommel looked at her scanner. It showed faint lines and soft signals around his chest. "Nothing clear, but nothing normal either. It's probably interference from my tools," he said, trying to stay calm. Nuh looked at him carefully. "I don't think so. I study signals. This one is alive." Tommel didn't know what to say. He had never felt anything strange inside himself. He had passed all his health checks before coming to the station. No doctor had ever found anything unusual. "Maybe your scanner is broken," he offered. "Maybe," Nella said, but she didn't sound sure. She saved the data and smiled again. "I like mysteries." "Do you like mysteries?" Tumbled smiled, though a bit nervous. "Now, not when they're inside me." Nuh laughed softly. "You are funny. I like you." With that, she walked away, already looking at the scanner screen again. Tommel watched her go, then looked down at his chest. He didn't feel anything strange. No pain, no noise, nothing humming. But when he touched the wall beside him, a small spark of light danced across the metal. It disappeared quickly, and Tommel blinked. "Static," he said to himself, "just static, but far away." Deep in the circuits of the station, something very old stirred quietly, and it was inside him. The next morning, Tommel walked through the quiet halls of Hellion, carrying a small repair kit. He was heading to the cooling system near the lower deck. The station lights flickered softly above him, and the distant sound of machines filled the air like a slow, peaceful song. He couldn't stop thinking about what Nella said the day before. "Something is inside you, something that hums." It sounded strange. It sounded impossible, but part of him wondered if she was right. As he walked, he remembered the spark from the wall. It had looked like static, but it felt different, warmer. Like it recognized him. He shook his head. "Maybe I just need more sleep," he said to himself. When he reached the cooling system, he saw Nala already there. She sat cross-legged on the floor, watching a floating screen full of data. Her silver eyes lit up when she saw him. "Tommel," she said cheerfully, "did you feel anything last night?" He blinked. "Feel what?" "The hum," she said simply. "The signal inside you." Tommel smiled, trying to sound casual. "No hum, just a weird dream." Nella stood quickly. "What dream?" He scratched his head. "I was floating in space, then I saw Earth. It was strange. The sky was full of fire. And then water. The land broke, then healed, and there was a voice, but I couldn't hear what it said." Neela looked thoughtful. "That doesn't sound like a normal dream." Tommel laughed. "It was probably something I ate." But Nella wasn't laughing. She walked closer and tapped her scanner again. She pointed it at his chest. The scanner beeped. Tommel frowned. "Is it doing that because of me?" "Yes," Nella said quietly. "It's reading a pattern now, a soft pulse very deep inside." Fummel looked at the screen. It showed a rhythm like a heartbeat, but not natural. "Too perfect, too slow." "That's not from me," he said. Nella looked up at him. "I think it is from you, but not the human part." Tommel stared at her. "What are you talking about?" "I don't know yet," she said, "but this it Feels older than this station, older than me, maybe even older than your. People. Tommel took a step back. That's not possible. She tilted her head. Do you remember anything unusual before coming here? Tommel thought. No, I grew up on a space farm, went to school, worked as a mechanic. Nothing strange ever happened to me. Did you ever visit a crashed ship? Nilla asked, or touch something ancient? He paused. I did visit a museum on Mars. Once there was a sealed room with old tech from lost missions, but I didn't touch anything. Nilla was quiet. Then she said, maybe something touched you. Tommel laughed, but it was a nervous laugh this time. You really think something chose me? Nella nodded slowly. In the old stories, some machines from the past were more than machines. They were alive in a different way. They waited for the right person. Maybe one of them is inside you. Tommel shook his head. That's crazy, but when he turned to leave, the wall beside him lit up again. Just for a second, a soft line of light followed his hand. Nella saw it too. That's not crazy, she whispered. That's a connection. Tumble stared at his hand. The light faded, but the feeling stayed, a soft warmth, like something deep inside him had opened its eyes, and for the first time Tommel felt watched. That night the station felt different. Tommel lay on his small bed in the quiet crew quarters. The lights were dim, and the only sound was the soft hum of the station, but Tommel could not sleep. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. Something inside him felt awake. He finally closed his eyes, hoping sleep would come, and then the dream began. In the dream, he was floating again. There was no ship, no suit, just his body in the middle of space. Around him were stars, bright and still. Ahead, he saw Earth far away, glowing blue and white. It looked peaceful, but the peace didn't last. The planet suddenly turned dark. Great red cracks opened across its surface. Fire rose into space, then the fire faded and the planet healed. Green returned, and water flowed. Then it broke again, over and over, a cycle of breaking and healing. Then came the voice. It was soft at first, not words, but sound like a song with no music. Then it became clearer. The voice spoke not in human language, but in feelings: calm, sorrow, strength, memory. Tommel didn't understand the words, but he felt their weight. The voice whispered, you are not alone, you were never alone. Tommel turned in space, looking for the source. There was nothing but stars. Then something touched his chest, a soft light, a small shape glowing inside him. It pulsed like a heart. He reached for it, and everything turned white. Tommel woke up. His body was wet with sweat, and his heart was beating fast. He sat up, breathing heavily. The room was silent, but he still felt it, the light, the hum. Something was inside him, and it was no longer asleep. He got up and walked to the mirror. He looked at his reflection. His eyes looked the same. His face looked normal, but deep in his chest, he felt the pulse, not painful, but present, like a second heartbeat, slow and steady. Tumble touched the mirror for a brief second. A line of light ran across the glass like it had with the wall. He stepped back. No way, he whispered. He put on his boots and jacket and left his room. The halls were quiet. Most of the crew were asleep. He walked toward the lab where Nubba usually worked. To his surprise, the lights in the lab were still on. Nala sat at her table, eyes wide, scanning data. She looked up when he walked in. You felt it, didn't you? Tommel nodded slowly. I had another dream. She pointed to her screen. I tracked a signal. It came from your room just for a few seconds. A soft wave, low and smooth. It's not from the station. Tommel sat beside her. Something is waking up. She looked at him seriously. Then we need to know what it is. He nodded. In the dream, it showed me Earth breaking, healing, then breaking again. It said I'm not alone. Nayla's face changed. That's an old idea. My people tell stories about machines that speak through dreams, messages from long ago hidden deep time. Some call it memory code, a way for knowledge to survive. Tommel's hands trembled. You think I have memory code inside me? I think you have more than that, she said. I think you have something that chose you. They both sat in silence. Outside, the gas giant spun slowly. The station lights flickered again, this time in rhythm, not random. Like a heartbeat, like a signal. Tommel whispered, it's not just a dream, it's real. And from deep within the station's walls, a soft hum answered. The next day, Nella couldn't stop thinking about what happened in the lab. The strange pulse, the dream, the soft hum that came from Tommel's chest. None of it made sense, and yet deep inside she felt excited. This was more than science. This was discovery. She walked quickly through the hallways of Hellion, her scanner in hand. She had updated it to search deeper signals, not just surface energy. As she walked, she passed other researchers, but her mind was only on one thing, Tommel. When she reached the engine room, she found him working with a large panel, fixing a power line. Sparks jumped as he used his tools. He wore his usual calm face, but there was something different in his eyes, like he was listening to something. No one else could hear still humming, Nella asked as she entered. Tommel looked up and smiled louder than ever. She sat beside him, placing the scanner between them. I changed the settings, this one can look deeper now. Tommel raised an eyebrow. You're really into this, huh? Nella nodded. I've studied a lot of tech in my life. But this whatever is inside you, it's not just a machine, it's something new or maybe something very, very old. She turned on the scanner and pointed it at his chest. For a moment there was silence, then the scanner beeped. A pattern appeared on the screen, lines moving in a rhythm, not like a heartbeat, but like a language. Symbols flashed across the screen, shapes Nilla had never seen before. What is that? Tommel asked, leaning in. I don't know, she said softly, but it's beautiful. The signal pulsed again and the scanner showed something else, an image. It was small and simple, a sphere with lines around it, like a tiny star map. Tommel's eyes widened. That's not Earth, no, Nella agreed, but maybe it's where this came from. She touched the screen and the image shifted. Now it showed a shape that looked like a core, round, bright, with lines stretching out like roots or wires. It's inside me, isn't it? Tommel asked. Nilla nodded. I think it's part of you now. Maybe it always was. Tommel sat back. I don't remember anything like this, nothing from my childhood, nothing strange ever happened to me. Sometimes, Nella said, things don't need your memory to live inside you, they wait. And when the time is right, they wake up. Tumble thought for a moment. Why now? Nella looked around the engine room. This station is near the edge of the old colonies. A lot of old tech passed through this region during the early days. Maybe the signal here woke it up. Tommel stood and walked to the wall. He placed his hand on the smooth metal. A soft light glowed under his fingers. The station responded. One of the nearby screens flickered on, though no one had touched it. It showed the same pattern. The scanner did. The glowing core, the star map, the strange symbols. Nala stood beside him. You're not just carrying this thing, you're connected to it. He turned to her. Is that bad? She smiled. I don't know yet, but I think it's important. They both looked at the screen, now slowly changing again. A new symbol appeared, a spiral turning inward, glowing bright. It's trying to tell us something new, whispered. Tommel nodded. Then we better start listening. The room grew quiet again, but the hum remained, not just in the walls, not just in the scanner. It was inside Tommel, and now it was awake. The station was quiet again. Tommel sat alone in the observatory, where the glass wall showed the giant orange planet spinning slowly below. Stars twinkled in the distance. He had been staring at them for a long time, but his mind was full of questions. The image from the scanner wouldn't leave his head. The star map, the glowing sphere, the spiral. Something wanted to speak. Something inside him was trying to be heard, and now Tommel wanted to listen. Behind him, the door opened. With a soft hiss, Nella stepped inside, holding her tablet. She had been running tests all morning. I think I found something, she said. Tommel turned around. Curious, what is it? She sat beside him and placed the tablet on the table. Those symbols we saw, I ran them through every known language in the station database. Nothing matched. So dead end? Tommel asked. Not quite, Nella said, her eyes bright. One of the symbols matched a pattern from an old deep space probe. It was launched over 200 years ago by humans. Tommel leaned closer. You're saying this signal has something to do with that probe? Maybe, she said. The symbol was found carved into the probe's casing. It was dismissed as space damage at the time, but I don't think it was damage. I think it was a mark. From what? From the same thing that's inside you, she said slowly. It was here a long time ago, before we knew how to see it. Tommel went silent. He looked out at the stars again. Then why me? I'm not special, I'm just a technician. Maybe that's why, Nella said gently. You were the right mind, quiet, steady, calm. The kind it could trust. Tommel wasn't sure how to feel about that. He stood up and placed his hand on the glass. Again, a faint light followed his fingers. The hum was stronger now, almost like it was guiding him. Suddenly, the lights in the observatory dimmed. The tablet screen flickered. Then words began to appear. Cora, wake communication open. Nilla gasped. It's talking. Tommel read the words aloud. Cora, wake communication open. More text followed. User confirmed memory stream available, accept input. Tommel looked at Nella. Should I say yes? She nodded. It's your choice, Tommel, but I think this is why it woke up. It wants to show you something. Tommel took a deep breath. Yes, he said out loud. The screen flickered again. Accepted, beginning memory stream. In an instant, Tommel's vision changed. He wasn't in the observatory anymore. He was standing on a strange planet. The sky was gold. The ground white. Towering machines rose into the clouds, silent and ancient. Small figures walked between them, creatures of metal and light. They weren't human, but they weren't fully machines either. Then came a great flash. A war. The machines Fought not with weapons, but with signals waves of power crashing across the land. One machine fell broken and quiet, and in its final moment it sent out a signal. Searching for a place to hide to survive to be reborn, that signal traveled for centuries, crossing stars, passing planets, until it reached a young boy on a space farm. Tommel, then everything went dark again. He blinked and found himself back in the observatory. Nella was holding his shoulders, worried. "Are you okay?" she asked. Tommel nodded slowly. "I saw it. It's not just a machine, it's a mind, a memory. And it's been waiting inside me all this time." Nella's voice was soft, "And now it's awake." Tommel looked at the screen. The words were still glowing. "You are the carrier, you are the bridge," he whispered. "What does that mean?" But no answer came, only the steady quiet hum, and somewhere deep in the station systems, something new had just turned on. The next day, Tommel and Nala stood in the main control room of Helio. 9 screens around them showed station data, normal power levels, stable life support, and quiet outer sensors, but one small alert kept flashing in the corner of the screen. "Subsystem active, unknown room 7B." Tommel pointed at it. "That wasn't there yesterday." Nella frowned. "I've never heard of room 7B. That's not on any station map." He looked at her. "Could the core have turned it on?" She nodded. "It's possible, or maybe it always existed, just hidden. They decided to check it out together." They walked through the lower levels of the station. These parts were older, with dim lights and cold air. Few people ever came down here. Pipes ran along the ceiling and dust floated in the air like soft smoke. Tommel followed the humming inside him. It wasn't loud, but steady, like it knew where to go. After passing through a narrow corridor, they reached a steel